It has been 10 months since I've posted an update video on my hobby stock project, and it has been far too long. I've had a couple people ask me if I've raced it yet. No, I have not. I've had a couple people ask me if I'm still building it. Yes, I am, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. I'm taking my time at it to make sure I do it right. I want to make sure I feel safe in the car, and I want to be proud of what I've built. This is the first race car I've ever built. This is my first experience in dirt track racing, so I want to make sure I get every detail right. So this video is a collection of smaller videos that I've taken in the last couple weeks, some of which I've taken in the last 10 months, and I put them together to show the progress of where I currently stand with the hobby stock. All right, so I got to work cutting the front bumper and radiator support bars and everything off the front here in order to try to replace it. And you can see there's quite a bit of damage to this frame horn here. It got bent down and then crumpled and then a little bit to the right. So I would rather not replace the frame horn, or I'm sorry, the frame. But I do need to reposition this idler arm here because it is way out of whack. There is some bendage and some misplacement. This thing here rubs against the cross member when I turn the wheel all the way to the left, I believe. Anyways, it's been a while. But actually, let me see. Oh, I can't because I got those front wheels on those ramps here. But anyhow, trying to fix all that. So we got it cut off here. We're probably going to try to fix this frame. Use a lot of heat and a lot of hammerage. So anyways, if we can bend this back up this way, get this level again, and that would reposition this in its correct spot. But if not, we'll like a plate or something here, kind of frame it so that this is repositioned, and then just leave all this alone and try to weld up something on there to get it all, make it straight coming out, and then put across, some tubing or square tubing or round tubing across this way from frame horn to frame horn, and build in some radiator supports. All right, so an update on the frame horn here. We used a torch to heat the hell out of the frame horn here by the right by the cross member, and we actually welded a couple of, or a buddy of mine welded a couple of pieces of bar stock to this, and we hammered the crap out of this, just heating it up and pulling it up and hammering it into place. And for the most part, I'm happy with the results. We cut off the front end of this thing, the radiator bars and the bumper bars and all the rest of that stuff that was over here. And we basically, get this out of the way. So I need to clean all this stuff up, slag and whatever else that's left behind from the torch and from the steel. All right, so this is a Denso style one-wire alternator I got from Speedway Motors. The brackets from Speedway Motors, the pulleys from Speedway Motors. This is a Gates belt. I forget the number. Got it from Amazon for like $8. But Speedway Motors sells a kit that includes all these things. Are supposed to be. It's back ordered right now, but and it's $285, I think, for the kit. For some reason, I don't know why it's priced out like that, because I was able to order these separate. The bracket was about $50. It was back ordered until September 20th, and they must have found one. They sent it to me early, so I got lucky. This was about $122, I think. It was like $141 if you get the black one for whatever reason. I guess $20 in paint, whatever. This was $8. This was about $30. So I think I got the kit, everything I needed separately on Speedway for what, $220, something like that, give or take. Saved quite a bit of money piecing it together. I don't know how they have it priced out to $285 as a kit when all the individual parts come up, what is it, $60 cheaper, something like that. So yeah, made out that way. But anyways, it was a pretty straightforward. I struggled with this a little bit because of this belt that's right here, just trying to get it all centered up and trying not to cross thread these. I had to buy these bolts separate. The pulley didn't come with the bolts. I looked at the Power Master. This is Speedway, obviously, but the Power Master, I think 801, is identical to this. Denso alternator, same bracket, same pulley, everything. And they had these type of bolts, so I went down to Ace, got those bolts. But all you need, this bracket came with the spacers, bolts, washers, nuts, everything you needed. Like I said, got the belt at Amazon for like $8. Pretty straightforward kit to install. All right, in the last update video, I had purchased a mod light rear end made by Speedway Engineering. It was a used floater rear end I had gotten from another guy out of Nevada. And I saw a video on YouTube on how to check if your axle tubes are straight. And in this video, what you do is you put the rear end with tires on it in some used wheels on the floor, and then you spin the center, and then you measure the run out of the tires as it sways back and forth. I've got a video of myself doing this, and I'll enter it here in a minute or two. But what I found out when I did that is the axle tubes were bent, and especially I think on the right tire, it was really bent. That tire was wobbling. It was waving back and forth. You ready?
Yep, good.
Yeah, that one's bad. How much is the change on that one? Can you tell? You might need to get a little closer. Yeah, this housing is fucking big. So I called a couple race shops and asked them if they knew somebody that would straighten the axle tubes, or if they would straighten the axle tubes, and nobody wanted to do it. And the reason was because the Speedway Engineering Mod Light is kind of an expensive rear end, and the parts are more expensive than what you get for a Grand National. So because of that, I decided, based on the advice of a couple people, to get a Grand National rear end from Quick Performance, as you see here. And this is a 60-inch rear end, floater rear end, Grand National. Like I said, the difference between the Mod Light and the Grand National, the snouts are larger, beefier, better. The Mod Light has snouts that are similar to the Wide 5. And for a heavier car like a stock car, I've been told that's their weak spot. You get a good hit on the wheel here, and it can bend the snout. And just based on the fact that folks don't really want to work on the Speedway Engineering rear end, I just decided to drop the money on this Quick Performance. I'm very happy with it. I'm glad that I did it. I'm still setting it up. I got to get the pinion angle right. I got to put some the brake rotors, the brake caliper. Brake rotors. I got to put the brake caliper brackets on it. Get this tack welded once I get the pinion angle correct. I'm still figuring out how I'm supposed to do that. Something I have to learn. Anyways, while I was at it, I also purchased a brand new center section for it. This is a 7.0 gear ratio, or ring and pinion, I should say. I'm going to use my 4-speed transmission. I'm going to run it in 4th gear, a 1-to-1 gear. And based on the recommendations for a quarter-mile track like Merced Speedway, it is a 7.0 ring and pinion in this thing. I tried rebuilding the center section that came out of the 9-inch that came with the Street Stock, but that thing, the run out on it was horrendous. The backlash was way out. I'll put a video in here that shows how bad the backlash was. And it was really loose. The backlash, the needle on the dial made a full revolution. It's not supposed to do that at all. And when I did try to bring the backlash around, when I tightened it up, the ring and pinion would bind. And like I said, there was excessive run out. There's a video of that as well. I'll put right here. That's 5/1000ths. Back down. Oh, look at that. Okay, so recently I took my hobby stock to a race shop. That's one of my cat's toys. Don't mind that. I took the car to a race shop here locally and asked them to put door plates, anti-intrusion plates. And so this is what they did. Put a plate here to protect my feet in the cockpit there. And yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. Now, this is going to add a lot of weight to the left side here, but the rules state, I had to take it back because the rules state that it's supposed to be down to the rocker panel here. So I wanted them to close the gap that was below the door bars and the rocker panel, which they thought was strange, but I had them do it anyways. I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be done. But either way, yep, those are the door bars. I also had them install, since I was there, the mounts for my window net. The mounts I had before were too tight. Like the window net was way up here. You can actually see the hole for it. And it just made it, the old window net that came on this car was all shredded on the bottom because of how tight it was. So they reused the back that had the hole in it already. They just wallered out the hole, and then they added this came in the kit. I think it was from Speedway. That came with the kit. This came with the kit. They made this themselves to bring it out. All in all, pretty damn good. So yeah, so I have a window net. I also had them mount seat mounts. So they welded this to the shoulder bar, these tabs. Used the Kirky back brace for the seat. They added seat belt tabs, safety harness tabs. So they had to, I kind of wish I had just told them to cut these original bars out, but this works. They added, I think this is 1-inch tubing with the seat belt tabs on either side. And then we're just using the already existing tubing in there for the submarine belt. So yeah, what else? That was it. Now originally they had the seat belts wrapped around the shoulder bar. The problem is with the height of the seat, it was touching the seat before it went over the shoulders. And everywhere I've read says you're not supposed to do that. So I've got to figure out how to connect the shoulder harness to here. If I put, let me see if I can find a bar here to demonstrate. Here's a spare bar I cut off of the front of the car. If I was to put this in here, a shoulder belt bar like you usually, like they do, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be too tall because it's supposed to be a 10 degree down angle from your hands device, however you say it, down to the shoulder belt attachment. It's supposed to be 10 degrees, negative 10 degrees. So what I'm thinking of doing is either adding a 1-inch bar like they did for this, because if you had a 1-inch bar, I can get it a little bit lower, or do brackets, some type of bracket that comes off. I can make kind of point it backwards, and that way I could rock it up and down, and that'll change the degree, the degreeage of the back of the shoulder belts. So, still kind of debating that. All right, because of where the seat is now located, it's far enough back where I can actually access the pedals. This is my clutch pedal, and I'm trying to figure out how best to locate this clutch pedal. Honestly, I don't like the way the master cylinder kind of sits up against the firewall. It's going to be really hard to get to. If I need to bleed it or fill it or whatever, I guess I can reach through there. No, it's going to be tough. I got to crawl underneath the dash to do that. So before I mount this, I'm trying to figure out what's the best route to take. I wonder if I should cut the firewall and box it and just leave it outside the firewall. I don't know. But anyways, here's a mounting plate I'm making for it. Once again, not sure if that's the best way to do it. I got to figure out, if this part where that mounting plate is, if it's going to be above the subframe mount, you know, because if it is, I won't be able to get it through. So I can either bolt it or I can have it welded. And if it is through, I might just have it welded just for a nice solid mount so it doesn't flex or whatever. Oh, Jesus, the door's trying to come off. I installed this 4-speed shifter because of the new rear end I'll be using, or center section, I'll be using third and fourth gear. But it kind of touches, because the I think it's reverse and neutral all the way to the left. It touches my leg a little bit, like it's right underneath my knee. So I'm either going to put a leg, what do they call it? Like a dill that bolts into that to kind of retain your leg. It's like a plate. And so that it doesn't touch my leg, or I'm going to remove the first shifter and just use the middle one and the one on the right. For the one on the right will be neutral and reverse, and then the one in the middle will be third and fourth. And I was told that you can go into the car and kind of shift first and second and start the car there. That way you can get some oil and stuff on the gears. I'll be cutting this bracket here where the lines are. I've got this, let me check here. Let me see. Here we go. I'll be installing this thing in here once I get that cut, so this fits on either side. So this will obviously stay as the steering quickener bracket, and then I'll have a bracket here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. All right, I'll give up. That bracket will be for this support heim here, so that I can, now that the seat is in a better location, rather than the straight steering shaft that was coming off the last one, now it's got an adjustable thing here, so I could put the steering wheel where it needs to be. Oh, I made this bracket. Well, I didn't make the brackets. That's Joe's racing bracket. But I made the bracket plate. Jesus, I can't get my arm here. Okay, made the bracket plate, and I bought a new battery disconnect switch. It's also an alternator disconnect switch. It's got the 4. Can you see it? Yeah, there it is. Oh, God, maybe not. I think you can see it. I can't see my camera right now, but there's 4 studs on the bottom. The 2 big ones are for the battery, and the 2 small ones are for the alternator. So, yeah, in anticipation, I bought that before I bought the alternator. So, but I already knew I was going to be buying an alternator. So, I didn't like where the bracket was. Once the seat was in, the bracket was behind there, but I had to reach behind myself to activate it. So I just wanted it within reach. I don't know if you need it while you're driving. I've seen some cars have it mounted in certain locations where you can't reach it while you're driving, but I kind of want to have it available. So, all right. Been working on the steering shaft here. I ordered a 3/4 inch smooth to 3/4 inch smooth. This is the rag joint and collapsible steering shaft that originally came on the parts car. I cut off the mess they had at the end of this, and I'm trying to grind this down, sand it down so it's 3/4 inch again. So I'm supposed to get that U-joint on Monday. FedEx is taking its time delivering it to me, but I'm getting that and a AGM battery, total power battery, on Monday. But once I get that, I can finish this up, get everything fitted together, and I'll have somebody weld it to a 3/4 inch shaft that's going to go to the steering quickener through the firewall. Okay, update on the collapsible drive shaft I was cutting that I just showed you. Not only did I cut the end off here and smooth it down to kind of make it 3/4, it was a little bit hard to do. It's a little bit wonky, but I think it'll work. I cut the rag joint off on this end, which just came out. I had to smooth it down a little bit, but came out to basically 1 inch double D. And I forgot to get the fittings. Pause. Okay, back. I got some coupler. This is 13/16 36 spline and 1 inch smooth, which I've already fitted it on here. Even though this is double D, it fits on there just fine and straight. This is 3/4 smooth to 3/4 smooth, which will go onto here. And then, of course, the shaft that's already built that's going to the quickener will fit into that just fine because it's 3/4 inch smooth. This is a firewall flange, support flange I'm going to use to support it. And yeah, so that's the update. This will go on this end, go to the steering box. This will go to the rest of the thing. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to need another support heim for this. I'm hoping it won't. And I'm hoping that solid coupler doesn't mess with the steering box at all. But we shall see. I also ordered Total Power AGM battery. This is the 1200 model from Performance Bodies. This was recommended by a few people that I know. Well, in particular, one person that I know. So that AGM battery, that Total Power battery, is much smaller than this battery box that's in here. So I'm either going to have to take the battery box out. Total Power actually has a battery box for their 1200 model that I might just buy. It's like 60 bucks. Or I can make brackets for the inside of here so it holds it on the inside of here. So I haven't decided yet. This is a nice battery box, so I kind of want to use it. But like I said, I'm going to probably have to... There's some options down there, I think. There's some holes. I'm going to have to see what I can do. What is that? What is that, a feather? What's a feather doing in there? Okay, so crawling under the car here. Oh, I'm turned sideways. Good Lord. Okay. All right, so pulled the engine out and changed the cast iron. If I sound funny, it's because I'm upside down. Changed the cast iron bell housing with a steel bell housing I bought used off of somebody. You can see they kind of hacked at it a little. On the transmission itself, I put, I'm using grade 8 bolts. It's not necessary to use grade 8 bolts, but I painted up these shifter rods. Look all nice. Sorry if it's blurry. It's kind of close to me here. But anyways, added a shifter arm. I also changed out the, can I get my, there we go. So the seals were leaking. So took these out, never done that before, but I took it out and put some new O-rings in here. And I think that one's got a shift shaft, come on, there you go. Shift shaft seal in it, so I replaced the shift shaft seal. I bought 3 shift shaft seals, thinking all 3 of them would use them, just to find out the other 2 have O-rings. And also to find out it's hard to find those O-rings. I had to order something off of eBay that came with the O-rings. But anyways, got those switched out. Put a new gasket for the side cover there. I had to use, because the cast iron bell housing was for a pickup truck. I switched it out with a car bearing retainer plate thingamajig that's on the front. You can't see it there, but I'll add a little video. The retainer plate went from being a pickup truck to for a car, so switched that out. Put a as I had done before, a hydraulic throwout bearing. Ran the lines out of there, so that's, I got to run those into the cockpit, or at least one of them. All right, the fuel cell that's in the back of the car is I did the math on it, and it is about a 30-gallon fuel cell, which back in the day, and still to this day, I guess, people use a large fuel cell for ballast in the rear of the car. It helps, you know, weigh the back of the car down, and I guess helps with grip. But it's a hazard, because if that fuel cell bursts, you have 30 gallons of fuel potentially on the track to burn up. So I decided to buy a brand new fuel cell. I was debating between a 12-gallon and a 16-gallon, and I did a bunch of math on the potential, how many laps. The 20-lap race is average for a feature. I don't plan on being at any big races that might require more, but I did the math, and I forget what the numbers were, but even if the feature was like 50 laps long and so on and so forth, I don't know, I did a bunch, like way overboard with the math, and 12-gallon is perfectly fine. So I got a 12-gallon. I was looking at, there's a Facebook page called the Street Stock Help Source. Anybody who's trying to build a street stock race car, that's a place to go, because there is a lot of good information on there. But there was a lot of guys, some of them were saying do a 22-gallon fuel cell because they want the ballast. Some were saying do a 16-gallon. A lot of people were saying 12 gallons. I even saw a couple that said 8. So I went with a 12-gallon. Hopefully I don't regret that decision. But I ordered this through Summit, and it was back ordered, because apparently they make them as you order them. So if you go to Summit and you go to order a fuel cell, and it says that it's not going to be, you know, right now it's October. So if it says it's not going to be shipped until like January, what they're doing is they're just pushing it out because they don't know how long it's going to take them to build it. I ordered mine at the beginning of September, and I got it by the end of September. So, yeah, and plus, you know, it's in the same state I am. It's been out of California. And look, they sent me a bunch of stickers. Cool. Sorry about the noise in the background. We're doing some laundry. But a couple other things I'd like to mention. I did paint the drive shaft. It's nice and white and purty. Yep, stripped it out. Removed a bunch of rust and paint that was on it, and painted it white. So that's all nice and new for underneath the car. In case I lose it, should be nice and bright and everyone will see it. I also made a new windshield screen because the last one was rusty, and made a new visor. Originally it had a short black plastic visor that only went over the driver. I wanted one that went all the way across. That's probably where I'm going to put my name, or maybe something else, maybe, I don't know, Camaro or Go to Hell, or I don't know, something. But I still have a lot of work to do. A lot of big jobs too. I got to mount the fuel cell in the trunk of the car, obviously. Got to run all the fuel lines. I've got to hook up all the electricals throughout the car, including for the alternator and everything else. It's got no wiring in it. All the wiring that was originally in it was old, so I pulled it all out. So I got to run all new wires. I got to do all new brake lines. I got to set the pinion angle on the rear end. I got to figure out how to do that. The suspension's supposed to be under compression, so the car has to be on all four wheels. So I got to figure out how to do that. So yeah, I got to set the pinion angle. I think a total pinion angle of about 9 degrees, I believe, between the rear end and the drive shaft. And yeah, I am definitely not as far as I wanted to be at this point, but you know what I love about doing this is I get to know every nut and bolt of this car, and that way if something breaks, if I need to improve something, I forgot I got some new AFCO shocks as well. But if something breaks, or I need to improve something or fix something or whatnot, I can do it because I'll know this car bumper to bumper. So anyhow, I will keep everybody updated, even if it means making short videos, doing the YouTube shorts or whatever. I was also thinking about maybe just making short, small videos on the job that I'm doing specifically. That way I have more to post. It's hard for me to post. I always forget to video or record what I'm doing, and it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to edit the videos and like do what I'm doing right now. Try to come up with something interesting to say. So anyhow, I did feel bad because it'd been 10 months, but so here we go. So hopefully this is a decent video, and I will see you in the next one, and I hope it's not going to be 10 months from now. All right, have a good day. Bye.